What's good, everyone? This your main correspondent, Alan Taylor, and I'm back in the broadcast room. And this is what we had here. So, this young lady is going to explain herself about, her having multiple affairs on her husband and basically destroying her family. Listen, look, it's crazy out here, but let's just go here now. Quarters, nickels, and dimes, people.
Here's my truth. My name is Chris, and I was addicted to having affairs. In my first marriage, I spent years having relationships outside of my marriage, whether it was physical or emotional. And I was in a very dark place. I was delusional. I ended up blowing up my family. I lost my marriage. And now I only get to have my children every other week. But I want to tell everybody that you can change. You can find redemption within your marriage. Because of Jesus, I found truth, I found reality, and I'm here to help save other marriages. My goal is to help women see that they do not have to be stuck and they don't have to live the lie. And I'm a walking testament that being that I was addicted to having affairs, addicted to the attention of other men while I was married, I'm somebody that can tell you you can heal, you can change, and you can find the truth in who you are and have a good marriage. So if you're walking in infidelity, if you're going outside of your marriage to have a relationship with another man, please reach out to me. I would love to talk with you and I would love to help you and walk through this with you.
So, this is where we at right here. Now, my thought process on this situation is that I know it's complicated. Some people, I know we live in a world where people sometimes think that people can't change, and some people do believe that people can't change. And it is what it is. If you do put forth the effort, and we talk about things like this, we do put forth the effort. You can't change your life, you can't better yourself, and things like that. But then, no, too, some people just, will believe that, birds of a feather gonna always flock together. You can't change it. A tiger can't change the stripes, things like that. And I get that too. In certain cases in life, things do go down this way. Now, as humans, we use these analogies and stuff like that to kind of judge certain people on their actions and also the consequences of their actions as well. But in some cases, yeah, people can change. Now, as far as this, from where this woman's coming from, who knows? I don't know her personally, things like that. We all don't know her personally, but I'm just saying though, if she's actually trying to, if she's actually changed her ways and stuff like that, good, good for her. But at the same time, though, too, the husband, well, what she said, the first husband, so obviously she's remarried, but from the first husband and the first, the first family that she had standpoint, it was a very disrespectful situation, and it's going to take a lot of emotional healing for that first family to deal with the betrayal and things like that that comes with that. Obviously they may have had children, things like that that are involved in this type of scenario, and she says she can only see her children, definitely from the first marriage. She didn't mention that she was married again, but from the way that she presented it, I think that she's married again. But from the first marriage, she's like she can only see her children at certain periods of times and stuff like that. So obviously she really got caught up, and she really got the raw end of the stick. And it's not the raw end of the stick. She decided to go out and do these things with these multiple men, from what she's saying, and destroyed her family and stuff like that. And also the children will see that, and they will understand that at a certain point, whatever parent was in the wrong, they will try to, they will see that. And it's just a sad situation, definitely in today's society, where we have this stigma of, that women can never do any wrong. Women are always to be trusted. Women are never supposed to, they're always these flowers, and, not to be, questioned technically and things like that. And that's the whole issue out here with what we're having in today's society. The reason why the accountability for women is not being had on mass like it should be, and the days of old as well, is because we do treat women with a certain level of, dismissiveness, and we try to, look at women as, not being capable of doing certain things. But the thing of this is when you underestimate anybody, you always end up screwed up, because you're underestimating people, and human beings are human beings first before they're any gender or race or anything like that. They're human beings first. And if they are in a corrupt mindset or have, lust factors and other little things that come along with that, they're going to engage in set things unless they want to not engage in them. But it's going to have to be on them to not want to, put themselves in that position, whether you're weak, strong, whatever, it just is what it is. You as a human, you have to control yourself from making the decisions that may, excel your life or may ruin your life. It's a double-edged sword with that. Yeah, sometimes you can make decisions that are going to, excel your life, put you in a good position. Sometimes you're going to make decisions that are going to put you in a horrible position to where you may, of course, you're going to need to take accountability. Which you're supposed to take accountability, whether it's good or bad. But the thing of this is, most people in today's society are, conditioned to not take accountability when things are going wrong. And that's the whole situation. Now, she's saying that, obviously she may have worked on herself, took accountability, things like that. But the problem is that, you still dealt with, you still did what you did. So, your children, things like that, your first family is truly hurt behind that. And that's kind of where it's at. So, it's just amazing to me to, see that, some people, people will fall. But at the same time, though, too, the question really is do we have grace for a person that's trying to change their life and trying to better their life? Or do we keep condemning them for the things that they did in the past? Now, and that's my question. That's really my question. Comment, let me know. But, it really is a genuine question. Do we keep condemning people for their past and just really being like, okay, well, it's impossible for people to change? Or can people, work hard, do their due diligence, and, make sure that they try to change their lives and become better human beings, or become better just people, period, and things like that? Is that possible? Get down in the comments. Let me know, guys. But it is what it is, though. Shout out to all my subscribers. Mad love to y'all. If you're new to the channel, please hit that like, share, subscribe button. Make sure you ring that bell to be notified whenever I decide to post things. And like I always say,
and that, my friends, is the bottom line.
That, my friends, is the bottom line.